Harrison Price for Thursday, December 19th, 2024, coming to you from the Nation Network studio, built by Arbor Lee here at the historic Wall Center. In this program, a presentation of Bet365. Open an account today and bet on a huge range of markets. So whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use code NATION when opening that account. Mansakaris alongside a sweatered, good housekeeping Blake Price, four-time Juno Award winner Mike Rogerson hitting switches, conducting things. Rick Tocchet
I wear sweaters most days, by the way. I'm always cold, so I wear sweaters a lot.
Rick Tocchet wore a nice sweater.
He did.
The other day. I like that fit, the sweater underneath the suit.
I'm not
very Christmassy.
I'm not going to say Tochet's old, but I've noticed that the older the coaches get, they start to don sweaters.
Yeah.
And I can relate. My circulation, not what it once was.
Right.
Start to get a little bit cooler.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Old man sweater.
Yeah.
And good housekeeping, because he told us the other day on his milestone birthday, he spent it cleaning the house. And then yesterday, his children and nephews and nieces destroyed the kitchen making, was it gingerbread?
There's decorating cookies, yeah. Shortbread, I think, yeah.
And at 10 p.m., Blake is vacuuming the kitchen.
Yeah. Should have used the shop vac in retrospect, because there was a lot of sticky gumballs and
I'm not sure that vacuum's ever going to work the same again.
Yeah, it's possible. It was central vac, but yeah, we'll see.
Central vac?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, old school.
Very old school.
Yeah, that's still a thing.
For a guy who's like a big-time technology, modern,
I didn't install it.
Grade, the guy's got central vac.
I didn't install it. I was very
Wow.
weirded out when we moved in. I was like,
Can't
really?
remember the last time I saw central vac.
It's still a thing.
How about that? Surrey Mitsubishi poll question today. Can the Canucks overcome the Pettersson-Miller drama and contend for the Cup this spring? You can vote at the Harrison Price X and YouTube channels. Blake Price, what says you?
Man, I can't see it this season. I can't.
Really?
Yeah.
Put it this way. It will absolutely be the narrative if they fall short.
Right. Like they're staring at that. And I don't mean that as a doom and gloom prediction. I'm just saying it's really hard to put this to rest. And it doesn't seem to me like they are addressing it. It seems to me like they're trying to work around it by separating these guys on the power play and such. Like, I don't know. And again, we're just working on vibes because they are shutting the info train down. But I think it's going to be really, really hard.
Yeah. Call me naive, but I still think that adulting will carry the day. You know, like what Gilman said to us yesterday. Sit them down. Let them both bitch, whine, cry, rant, whatever they want. And then say, okay, guys, now it's in the past. That's it. Let's move on like professional colleagues and work together. Again, maybe that's too naive. Maybe there's too much ego involved. Maybe there's too much emotion involved. Maybe there's too much aloofness involved. But I would like to think, especially with a leader like Tocchet, not to mention the fact that neither guy wears the C, right? Like Hughes should have a say in peacemaking here.
And honestly, Hughes comes out looking squeaky clean and all this. I do love his demeanor.
His star only rises because like he's
adult in the room.
Yeah. Honestly, little Huggy Bear has to be the adult in the room.
And I thought of this last night. It literally, as I'm putting my head on the pillow last night, I was like, Hughes is incredible. Like, you think about watching that game, the one guy that not only figuratively is putting the team on his back, he's the one guy out there, despite the other two being very good players, that can literally make anything happen at any moment. Like, that is the guy. what I'm saying is the Canucks have a McDavid. He just plays defense. Like what McDavid does on offense.
That's a great shout. That's a great
The
shout.
Canucks have that guy. He plays D. Look at him go. It's unbelievable. And it's just so sad that there's other factors that are weighing this team down.
The exercise of watching the Canucks change dramatically from a team that has always been forward-based, whether that was the Sedin twins, whether that was the West Coast Express, Pavel Bure back in the day, where your eyes fixated to the left side of the screen if they're going right to left, because that's where the action, the activity, the star power was.
Yeah.
Now you watch it from the defensive zone out, particularly when he's carrying the puck. He walks the line better than anybody I have ever seen walk the line.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Elliot Friedman last year who said, somebody told him, we call Hughes a jewel thief because he just has the calm and the guts to have the puck sitting there inches from defenders, checkers, and somehow, some way, like almost never turns it over.
And skating his way out of a phone booth.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's he is a marvel to watch. And it looks like he's going to have to do a lot of the heavy lifting this year. No heavy lifts at Surrey Mitsubishi. Right now, it's lease month, leasing a car, better option, lower monthly payment, convenience of staying under warranty, minimal maintenance costs, avoid the long-term commitment, depreciation hit of ownership this month. Surrey Mitsubishi, you can lease an Outlander PHEV, 2024, $182 a week. The gas option available, $105 a week. The Eclipse Cross, just $100 a week, and the RVR only $87 a week, plus get away with up to $1,000 winter tire credit, no charge 2-year maintenance package, and don't miss out on that government rebate on the Outlander PHEV while it lasts. See dealer for details and terms. All leases are OAC. Surrey Mitsubishi, 13820 104th Avenue in Surrey, or online at surreymitsubishi.ca. Let's get to our top story. It's brought to you by Yellow Dog Brewing. We saw Mike Coghill of Yellow Dog.
Mr. Yellow Dog is
yes,
here.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Neighborhood Brewing, Foolish Winery. A 3-2 overtime loss in Utah after blowing a 2-goal lead in period 3. And if it was just that, okay. You'd digest that.
They're on the road.
Yeah.
Get road point.
Exactly. It wasn't just that. What did you, a word or two on JT Miller last night, Blake? I'll ask the question agnostically.
Last night was just, you lived 1,000 lives watching the game last night. It was as toothless a first period as we have seen, and there's been a lot of toothless first periods.
It was a dreadful first period to watch. Yeah.
And so you're watching skeptically. They have a better second. They get goals, and you're thinking, oh, okay, I guess they're going to pull this one out of the fire here. And I made the mistake early third period. First, I don't know, 5 minutes, 7 minutes maybe, where I tweeted out, who are these guys in white as compared to the guys in the first period? Well, it was just about that moment where the third period began to go awry for the Vancouver Canucks as well, and the comeback begins for the Coyotes. Keller on that one was on the power play, and they ultimately do a tie on the power play where you get a bad call from Tyler Myers, and that happens.
More on that in a second.
A lucky goal on the power play against Thatcher Demko, who was all world all night long.
Mm-hmm.
And he continued to be good in the late stages, preserving the tie and into overtime. But it was JT Miller on the first power play unit now, not the second power play unit. And you're thinking, oh, they reunited. No, they did not. Elias Pettersson bumped down to the second power play unit. And ultimately in overtime, 3 minutes of the 4.5, JT Miller was out there for longer than anybody, longer than even Quinn Hughes, who gets the long leash as the defenseman on the power in overtime. And as his line mate changes, JT goes by the bench, curls away from it, tries one more hoper pass backdoor for Connor Garland. As it does, it goes off the corner, heads down the ice the other way, as you would expect on those metrics. and he can't back check in time.
Do we have sorry, Mike, I may not have sent this to you, but do we have the JPAT tweet on the shift length for JT in overtime? Yeah, okay, there it is. Beautiful. Now, all of those shifts in isolation would be a little long, although granted it's overtime, and you can stay out there a little longer if you have possession. But 49:53 and a minute 13 to play, a total of 2:55 of the 4:47 played in overtime. And
I would argue, though, in OT, keep them shorter unless your name is Quinn Hughes.
Well, okay.
Because you need your legs.
Not changing in overtime, which leads to the missed pass and goes back the other way. Then he's on the power play, and why does he want to direct traffic so much on the power play? On the penalty kill. Sorry, not power play, penalty kill. He's like air traffic control on the penalty kill. And then stays out on a power play as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. Like, everybody else changed.
Yeah, except for him. Well,
Hughes too, but again, he's allowed to.
Mm-hmm. Well, and do you think that has anything to do with who would be coming on if he comes off? Because that's number 40, right?
And that unit already had a power play goal.
So let's just call it what it is. That's selfish. I'm surprised Tocchet was as serene as he was in the post game. I do wonder whether there was a harsh conversation last night with JT, if that's even possible right now. Who knows how hair trigger this situation is with Miller, but that's something you can't stand for as a coach, Blake. He talks about guys playing for each other. He talks about playing predictably, playing for the group. That shit that runs antithetical to what you're trying to accomplish.
But I do question Rick Tocchet's coaching here in the third period.
Right.
They're down 2-1. They get a power play and a chance to breathe again and probably put the game to bed based on the kind of game that we were seeing. And again, they keep the power play separate. Like, it's one thing. If you're doing it for strategy to preserve the peace, separate them for the first two periods. Fine. Hopefully. And you know what? It paid dividends because, again, Pettersson's second unit got a goal. Mm-hmm. But at that point in the third period, do you not just say, I'm putting the 5 best players that I have at my disposal because I need to put this game away? Still got to separate.
He was asked about it from Murph last night. We'll play the scrum here in a second, and just said we're trying different things. We'll see what happens tonight in Vegas. But if they're split again, the first question back here Friday, maybe an off day, or Saturday morning in advance of the home game against the Senators, needs it needs to be a forceful question. Like, Rick, this is so far and away off trend from where the National Hockey League has been for some time now. Mm-hmm. Your 5 best offensive players, 1 defenseman on the power play. What are you trying to achieve? What can possibly be gained by splitting your 2 best offensive forwards into separate power play units? Why are you doing it? What do you think can be achieved there? And why are you going so far against the NHL current on this
and
one?
Most often, you're stealing a minute of power play time from one of your best players because it's usually a 1:30 to 30 second split. 1.5 minutes to 30. That's generally how PP1 and PP2 works. So every single power play that isn't a goal, you're taking away a minute of odd man advantage from Elias Pettersson. You're $11.6 million man.
It's stunning. As we said, we tried it once on Monday. We're like, okay, well, coach is trying things, give him a pass, try it once. Okay, see what happens. Worth a shot, worth a look, whatever. But now that it's continuing, it's nose to spite face. So, and if it has to do with the fact that they don't get along personally, I'm sorry, but that's wholly unprofessional. And that is something that needs to be dealt with at the upper reaches of the organization. How long before Francesco organizes the summit, huh? Corner table, Elisa, steak, nice bottle of red.
I mean, honestly, when you're out on the ice, like, it's not like you're sharing stories. It's not like you're sharing beliefs. Like, you're just playing hockey. Like,
absolutely.
Surely that can't be it.
Right.
Like, it can't be.
We got examples in our business, like legendary broadcast teams, play-by-play and analysts didn't really get along.
But public didn't know.
Yeah. Came together, made beautiful music professionally, and then the game ended, went their separate ways to dinner. So let's hear Tocchet's post-game press conference, and yet again he was brief. Now, this one is on the road where there's not a lot of traveling media outside of Murph, so perhaps a little bit different than Monday when he announced he was going to be briefed, went down the game sheet, name-checking half the team, took 3 questions, and bounced. Here's Tocchet from last night. 7 questions here.
Assess that game up 2-0 in the third, but we came back.
Yeah, I didn't like our first. I thought we responded well in the second. We had 2-0 lead, and you got to lock it down.
I know you don't like to comment on officials usually, but the call on Myers.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle's he's a good ref. He saw something different. It happens. How do
you think your team turned it around in the second? What you started doing?
Well, we started to skate, winning some more battles. I mean, they were ready to play, we weren't, and then we obviously grabbed a 2-0 lead. Mistake on the first goal, we back in, and then fluky power play goal gets him back in the game.
You said you like Dakota when he's moving his feet. Do you find that he's getting his game trending back?
I thought today it was a step in the right direction for Dakota. I thought he really moved his feet, so hopefully he can build off that, yeah.
Made the change to power play 1, Pettersson out, Miller in, just for a different look?
Yeah, we're just trying different things right now.
So what was your assessment of the power play? Dan gets the power play goal to get you guys off. Just your thoughts on the overall units tonight.
I thought we had some chances. I thought we had shot the puck. Huggy had a couple of shots. Wasn't too bad. I mean, obviously, Heino getting that goal for us, it really helps us.
Is there anything you can take away from tonight to get you ready for Vegas tomorrow?
Well, I mean, just got to lock these games down. It's 2-0. You got to stay with it. So, yeah, I mean, every game's a learning lesson.
Okay. First of all, he just doesn't sound like himself.
No. You can't hear that.
Because you can tell the answers are coming.
I know body language expert.
Questions to get through the answer and get to the next question and then get to the end of the scrum and then get the F out of there.
Well, you can hear that in the tone, and then also go back and look at the no body language expert, but he also doesn't do the pursed lips between questions. It like humans do that when they're effectively biting on their lip,
and
right?
that's why I wonder if he was seething at JT last night and just
wanted to make sure at the whole soap opera.
Indeed, and just wanted to make sure he didn't say anything.
Yep, I think
that could further inflame. As for the particulars, Dakota Joshua made progress. It was high time, as we talked about yesterday. Joshua was tracking closer to a healthy scratch than top 6 or even middle 6 duty with the way he was playing. So it was good to see Dakota get a goal and make some progress.
Second period, drove hard to the net. When was the forecheck where he almost took out Vejmelka and nearly came up with the empty net goal there? I mean, a lot brighter.
He's got to play. Yeah, like we know he doesn't necessarily play to his size because he's a big man, but you need a little bit of that from Joshua.
He was pretty pumped. So, hopefully this opens the door.
We spent a lot of time last year talking about he's got a specific skill set that the Canucks don't have in spades. So, got to play like that. Really good sign. The other thing I'll say is, and we're carving Tocchet for what he's done with the power play units here. The way he handles questions about officiating is brilliant. But it's particularly brilliant given that he's got a Popovsky in Miller and a forever aggrieved Elias Pettersson. And could you imagine how much worse those two would be if he's there griping about officials every time he's asked, right? It gives them further license to be emotional and to be aggrieved. So I love the way he basically shrugs off even horrible calls that go against the Canucks. A lot of coaches in this league, when given that material, go after the referee thinking that's going to get me the next one. Rick is 180 degrees from that. No. Kyle's a good official. Well, guess what? Kyle Raymond's officiating tonight. I would bet they're in line for a call from Kyle Raymond tonight. Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Because really, outside of the venting, it may make you feel better, but it's not constructive. It's not getting anything done if you sit there and lambaste officials in the postgame.
Well,
he's playing the long game.
Even saying no comment has a tone
Exactly.
to it.
Exactly.
So he goes the opposite way and says he's a good ref.
It's brilliant.
So, yeah.
Well done, coach. And especially if he's seething, angry with the team or with any players, to be able to have your composure and answer the question like that when you have license, when you have grounds to complain.
Chapter 2 of Can You Imagine Where the Vancouver Canucks Would Be Without Their Goaltending, Matt?
12 high danger chances against last night. As Kevin Woodley notes, that is the most in a game since the Detroit matinee on the 1st of this month. That was 8 games ago.
And this does not bode well for tonight, by the way, with this Vegas team, in terms of surrendering high danger chances to a skilled team.
Do you not play a pack it in, the most boring game imaginable tonight?
The road game in Boston?
Yep. That's what you need tonight.
My goodness. I mean, Demko looked like vintage Demko, and for the second straight night, I feel like he did. Like, this should have been back-to-back shutouts. It almost feels like, you know.
Yes, and I'll say this: that was the first period was so boring that even Shorty and Dave sounded bored.
Oh, and they were joking about it. Like, Dave had nothing to say.
Yeah, there was nothing going on. You talk about low event hockey, but an electric last 5 minutes, the overtime. God, I love 3-on-3 overtime. It is such a fantastic addition to this league in this sport.
And I was ready to think the opening minute. I thought maybe this is going to be one of the exceptions. Maybe this one isn't going to be good. And then it ended up being fine.
No.
Yeah.
They almost always deliver, even the ones that start a little more mutedly. What are our friends at Yellow Dog and Neighborhood up to? We know Mike is here.
Yes.
He's probably going to go to lunch and drink some of his own beer with us, I would hope.
That sounds like a very good plan.
Blake's carrying me today, everybody. Oof.
Yellow Dog was consumed last night.
Indeed.
Mike also reminds us, Mike Hawkell does, that Yellow Dog 2.0 in Penticton now open. If you're in the vicinity, maybe a ski holiday, wine holiday, go visit them. It's all the same beers that you know and love. Stay for the handcrafted cocktails and tasty menu items. It's open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. now during the winter. For the love of dogs, community, and great beer, it's Yellow Dog Penticton, now in addition to Port Moody.
Awesome. Blake is carrying me today because I went out after the Canucks game last night. I cannot remember the last time I sat down, watched a 7 o'clock sporting event, and then went out afterwards. That used to be my life when I was younger and on the scene. At this age, on a school night, whoa, I am hurting. The other thing I'll say, and shout out DJ J Swing, DJ Flip Out, everyone at the Hollywood Theater, because I say to Carmen, we're walking down to the hip hop show. She goes, at 10 o'clock? We don't go out at 10 o'clock. I go, well, I hear they're hitting the stage at 10 o'clock. This is Mobb Deep, the rap group. I have never attended a hip-hop concert where the headlining act actually hits the stage at the prescribed time. Not a once. I said, Jay Swing, what time are they on? He said, a little after 10. Great. Canucks game ends. Enough time to walk down. Perfect. I'm telling Carmel, let's go. We got to walk. They're going to be on stage at 10. 11:20.
Time is a construct.
So, got home late, got up early. I am feeling it today. 'Tis the season to play hurt. The Canucks' last 6 goals. Dakota Joshua, Danton Heinen last night. 3 from Kiefer Sherwood. 7, I suppose. And Max Sasson.
Yeah.
No, 6.
Yeah, in all this,
So
the Stars are not rising to the occasion. And we should mention, though, Quinn Hughes is getting points, right? Like that. There's 3 key offensive cogs on this team. Pettersson, Miller, and Hughes. Hughes is doing his job.
Pettersson with 1 goal in 10. It was the power play goal against St. Louis. No goals 5-on-5 since the game in Pittsburgh, everybody. We talked about the game in Detroit being 8 games ago, the first of the month. That Pittsburgh game was 10 games ago, November 27th. Brock Besser has 2 goals in his last 12. Discussed it yesterday, but JT Miller has 2 goals, both empty nets in 14. He goes back to October since he last scored on a goaltender. Garland's gone cold with no goals in 9. And then there's Nils Höglander, who is in there's the forever curse right now.
Yeah.
No goals in 26. No points in 21. For a guy whose calling card is scoring goals. Because as we know, he's not winning a Selke anytime soon. Blake.
Not good.
How close is Nils Höglander to a scratch?
I think they're worried about the trade value if they do that.
They are.
But, I mean, if they were committed to the player, he'd be down on the farm right now.
Oh, my God.
Honestly, he would be down on the farm on a feel-good assignment. Mm-hmm. Go play some power play. Remember what that feeling is like to light the lamp. If they were concerned about the player as an asset for themselves, that's what they would be doing. Instead, they're just hoping upon all hopes that he finds it here at the NHL level so they can trade him. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's any other way to interpret it. Because he's young enough that would not be a weird thing to put him in the AHL and allow him to find his mojo.
He requires waivers, though.
Yeah.
So,
I guess you couldn't conditionally assign him.
No. So you got to suck on this.
Would that be a
drought.
bad thing, though, to lose him on waivers?
Well, he's still an asset.
Is he?
Yeah. He's diminished from where he was a few weeks ago. We talked about it a few weeks ago. It was time to trade Höglander. The value was diminishing. And how about this? Bravo, NHL general managers. We got busy before the holiday roster freeze.
Yeah.
It's almost like a mini deadline yesterday. Elliot Friedman even said, boy, I was surprised. I was not prepared to, this many deals. Am I wrong to think that the Vancouver Canucks missed out on Alex Carrier, the Nashville defenseman? Right shot. Can play second pair minutes. Liked him in the playoff series last year. Was free agent this past summer. Puck mover. Not, no one's going to confuse him with some of the great puck movers, but I guess they like the upside of Justin Barron, who's an offensive-minded defenseman that the Habs acquired from, was it Colorado? Did the Canucks have that profile of player to be able to peddle? Yes, from Colorado. But boy, I looked at the cost of what defensemen were going for. Jacob Trouba at $8 million returned a defenseman and a draft pick. David Jiricek returned a defenseman, a first, second, and third and fourth round pick. Will Borgen and 2 picks got you a Capo Caco, a one-time second overall pick. I thought that was a very reasonable price for Montreal to get Carrier.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you believed, and Barron was a first-round pick, although we're going back now to 2020, if you believed that Barron was going to be a big offensive producer on the blue line, he's a right shooter. Okay, he's 111 games into his career with 31 points. He still really hasn't made it as a full-time National Hockey Leaguer.
Matt, I of all the trades you just mentioned, and any other ones we may have forgotten, I haven't seen a trade in the NHL this season that I've been like, wow, that's a heavy price to pay given.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, there were third pair guys going for 2 draft picks earlier in the year.
Yeah, but not high draft picks.
No.
Like, I haven't been blown away by any of this. So for all the talk of, it's really hard to make a trade, the prices there, I haven't been like, wow, they fleeced so-and-so for any of the trades. Like, Juracek is just a fair hockey trade. Like, it is.
Yeah. Well, Juracek, obviously, a new administration took over, and that was that.
But I think if there's a deal out there for the Vancouver Canucks, I don't know that I'm buying that the prices are still too high.
So Seattle Kraken trade Will Borgen, a 3rd and 6th round pick in this year's draft, to the Rangers for winger Capo Caco after he sounded off on his healthy scratch. And, of course,
they say it had nothing to do with
Chris
it.
Drury. Yeah, of course not.
They actually said that.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a coincidence.
It's just unbelievable. Yeah. How people in officialdom, and this is not just sports, this is everywhere in officialdom, try to tell people that black is white. Yeah. Oh, you're soaking wet. Were you in the water? No, I wasn't actually. Oh, okay. You're dripping. Look, Caco's offense has never blossomed here, as you would hope for a second overall. I think people thought he would be a power forward, maybe not a huge point getter, but a goal scorer and a big, rugged, net front, short area power player. He's actually turned out to be a pretty decent defensive player, but he's going to be a
middle 6 at best.
He's going to be a supporting offensive cog. Seattle wanted some size up front. They're awfully small, Seattle, up front, and they're taking a bet on some upside here with Borgen, who we talked about a little bit. He's a solid 3rd pair right side guy. He's an NHLer for sure. I just don't, there's just not a lot of upside there.
The best Noah Juleson games, every game.
Yeah. That would be Borgen.
Juleson with better consistency.
But, for the Canucks, he would have been an upgrade. Again, they did not have a Caco to pedal, unless you think Nils Höglander is Caco, but I would guess Seattle probably thought, one guy's a former 2nd overall pick who's big and at least gives us utility defensively if the offense never comes, whereas you can't say that about Höglander.
Yeah.
And, Pierre-Olivier Joseph also traded. He goes back to Pittsburgh from St. Louis for future consideration. I wondered about him because he was a player that Rutherford and Alvin got in Pittsburgh from the Coyotes once upon a time. And it was a former 1st-round pick with some size. But
I wonder if he's bummed about that. Got to play with his brother for 3-4 months, and then they traded back. He's probably a little bummed.
Well, to an organization that, didn't really...
seem to value him
exactly.
In the summer. Yeah. So weird.
You can come home again. They love you, Pierre-Olivier. They really do. So anyways, we got busy. We got busy on roster freeze, holiday roster freeze. And the Canucks still have
some hours.
Yeah, some hours left here. We'll see if they can get anything done. Otherwise, you're talking about a week from Saturday when the holiday roster freeze is lifted and you can get back.
I hope I have the answer to this. Tyler Johnston was just waived for the purposes of termination with the Boston Bruins. That's not of any use, is he?
No, I don't
2 points
think
in 9 games for the Bruins. Couldn't get into the
anymore.
lineup much. He was a PTO guy that got signed and didn't work out.
No, I don't think so anymore. Let's get to today's menu. It's brought to you by Greta Bar. Greta, great spot for all the games, home and away, your minutes from the stadium and the arena. They have the incredible street food menu there, the Big Mac Poutine. The arcade, who doesn't like a good arcade? Surrounds the bar, sights, sounds. It's a lively place. You can have some Canucks Army viewing parties there, weekly drink specials. Greta, the place to be, 50 West Cordova. Let the games begin. Patrick Johnston is going to join us from the Province and PostMedia. Very fun interview with Pat and Rob Williams today. We had a lot of laughs, a lot of fun. Hey, got to keep it light.
But it's also an intense show.
It was an example for... No, was it intense? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not in an angry way, just like there's some meat on the bone.
Oh, there
here.
is meat on the bone. This has been a beefy week.
Yeah.
Lots happening. Let's get to Bet365, bets of the day. This segment brought to you by Bet365. I had Miller to score a goal, and he did not. So, well, you had the honor anyways. Did your bet come through last night? Oh, you bet the Thursday nighter.
No, not last night.
No.
I did Quinn Hughes shots on
Right.
goal.
Did he get 3 shots on goal?
He had 6 last night.
He had 6 shots on goal?
I believe so.
Wow. Attaboy, Quinn. Okay. Fire away.
When did JT Miller get back? How many games has it been?
I believe he's 4.
Yeah.
No? Yeah.
How many points does Elias Pettersson have in that stretch?
0?
0 points. Yeah. That comes to an end tonight.
Oh, here we go.
I don't know that the Canucks have got a lot of goals on the board here tonight,
but
if they get to, Elias Pettersson is involved in both of them.
Wow.
Plus 375 for a mere multi-point night for Elias Pettersson.
I know you have often, with the World Juniors and for other reasons, done Christmas in Europe, Blake. Have you ever done Christmas in Switzerland?
Nope.
I hear it's a very nice place to spend Christmas.
Yes, I have heard that.
Very Christmassy.
Mm-hmm.
Mulled wine, fondue, and, of course, a visit from Chris Kringle on the 25th.
Mm-hmm.
None of the Canucks' big guns are going right now, and so it's left to Pius Suter. Switzerland's Pius Suter, who, if they were a part of the Four Nations face-off, would be on that team.
That's true.
Could be an Olympian next year in Milan.
I thought he played okay last night, too.
Yeah. As we know, he's tied for second on the team in goals, right? With Kiefer Sherwood. So Pius Suter, you get some value there. Plus 450 as an anytime goal scorer.
Really?
450 as an anytime goal scorer.
That's a good one.
For a guy who's, and like, I wasn't even searching him out. I was
Left off the
looking
page.
I was looking at the menus and I'm going, wait a second, he's plus 450? Pius Suter to score tonight against Vegas at plus 450. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. So whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use code NATION when opening that account. Patrick Johnston coming up next.
I'll be honest, I don't get to many games anymore, whether it be at the arena or the stadium. Ticket availability cost, it's a bit of an issue these days. So I prefer to go where there's atmosphere and I know I can get in. Greta Bar YVR. Soak up all the atmosphere with your fellow fans and enjoy a great night with a great street food menu. I prefer the poutine. Weekly drink specials as well at Greta Bar YVR at 50 West Cordova. And we'll be having our viewing parties there all season long as well. Your pregame, your postgame, it's at Greta Bar YVR, 50 West Cordova. Let the games begin.
So Harrison Price from the historic Wall Center. Patrick Johnston covers the Canucks for the province and PostMedia. He joins us on Thursdays. And, what topics can we sort of invent here as like evil?
Why don't we just talk about Ed Willis's book, right?
I love
Honestly,
Ed Willis.
I hope Ed Willis's book sales go skyrocketing.
Chef's kiss Eddie on the title, buddy.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
The update, new and updated edition is going to be amazing.
Wouldn't that be
He missed the
hysterical?
Pettersson versus Miller chapter.
Oh,
It's
what did he
dated.
tweet?
I would still recommend it for Christmas, but it's missing. It's missing quite a drama.
Somebody tweeted about it was just absolutely great. Currently reading Willis on Sportsbook, never boring, and getting this doomed feeling his next chapter is going to be, what if JT Miller and Elias Pettersson were friends? And Ed simply says, following this story from a distance, all I'll say is nothing surprises me at this point.
I mean, it was sort of, you look back on last season now and remind me if there, like, it was the calmest season in years. It was a bit of a honeymoon last year in a lot of ways. Because even like this administration has been pretty squeaky, but of course they arrived with a bit of infamy, and the Bruce Boudreau thing happened, and basically last year was the only. It's an island in a turbulent sea of never boring.
Yeah, what is it? Every year, right? November, December. Every year now we've had this one way or another, except for last year when everything was going right. Yeah, I mean, listen, if you're Jim Rutherford, you're telling people, listen, last year, everything went right, as I said. We had everything go our way. And then this year, it's not that nothing's gone their way. It is, in many ways, as I think he predicted, as his head coach predicted, this is not going to be easy. And I've been thinking a lot about what Rick Tocchet has been saying, or at least until I guess he maybe self-censored or whatever it is that's going on.
We have that on the list, incidentally, Patrick.
The tops
But
of
the
comments.
That'll be question
dragging
4
people into
today.
the fight. Listen, this year's going to be hard. We're now being pursued.
Embrace hard.
And embrace hard. And I mean, I wrote a column about this yesterday. Like you got to recognize that you got to just play on top of the other guys. Like you can't just sort of be near them. And that is literally how Rick Tocchet played. He's not saying you have to play like me, but his mentality was so dialed in, right? He is trying to figure out how to kind of get the modern athlete to be like, I will be 2 inches closer to that guy. I will make like difficult. Like hockey is different. 48 goals and 250 penalty minutes or whatever it was, 92, 93. Like I still don't understand how you can do that, but that's how it used to be. Now, he's not going to find a guy that does exactly that, but you can play on top of people, and you can be ready for the challenge that's coming for you. And, last night's game, what a microcosm. Playing really quite boring, but quite, controlled hockey, take a lead, and then just blow it. Because, I don't know, the other team's going to come hard at you and chase hard at you, but you have to be ready to take that on. And in the end, they lost because they couldn't get to the conclusion.
A lucky goal ties it up. It's a power play goal, but it floats off of people, and a bit of a lucky goal. But, and it was a bad call that got them there.
Yep.
Sure.
But they've got a third period power play with a chance to make it 3-1.
Yeah.
And they kept the two guys separated. They did not load up as they could have. Put your best 5 players on the ice and get a critical goal. And why don't they do it?
Yeah.
Why? I'm asking you a question. Why don't they do it?
I don't have an answer. I was honestly, I had that moment where I let's deal with helping with, I'm at home helping deal with bedtime. I come back, sit down, and I kind of go, wait, what? Who's out there? I don't really have an answer. Listen, last week, when Miller came back last week, it was already it kind of amazes me. It took people this long to notice that Miller wasn't on PP1 right away. Like he was on the second unit, and it was a surprising choice. I mean, it was the interesting one was I was looking at JMAT had the tweet about the ice times and how things kind of swapped during the game, but I didn't realize how until he pointed it out. I didn't realize how disparate their 2 ice times was even in that game. Miller came back. He wasn't going to play back a ton. But in general, those two have matched in terms of ice time. One's on the ice and the other's on the ice. And then there's a little bit of time left over for the other guys. And so to see a spread of 5 minutes, just overall blew my mind. And then, of course, the overtime for me was the real tell there. Miller got tons of he stayed on, whether that was coach directed or not. He stayed on for long shifts, and in general this organization has not liked long shifts, but you're looking at a guy who's certainly his emotions are more in line with what I'm talking about. He's a guy that shows how much he wants to win. PD is a guy that wants to win. The team organization knows that. He just doesn't show it in the same way, and has been kind of checked out. Like he's just not played with the same vigor that he had when Miller was out. He was playing better before.
He was great
Miller
Monday. He was very good Monday.
Listen, he was better. He was better even before Miller took the lead. Right, like he had a very good November period, and then Miller left, and he was out for 10 games. And so there is some overlap there. But listen, the last week he has not been what he was last month, but still, he has been a useful player, and the options available to you, he should be in your top 5 players when you need a goal. So was there a statement? I absolutely think there was a statement there, and it's that we're not happy with you. We're trying to shake you awake. We need you. You're not giving it to us in the crunch time, and it was crunch time.
But then his unit got a power play goal.
I know.
And he still doesn't get that third period Battlefield promotion.
Yeah, I don't know.
It feels
Is
like
it a
we
tough-
brought this up. We brought this up with
Honestly,
talking.
this is so elementary school. I don't like him. I don't want to play with him.
And how often do they cut off
It's
their
very
nose to
Chelsea.
spite their face on a lot of fronts?
I mean, listen, there's a lot we don't know, and I don't know this, and I don't know whether it's literally I don't want to play with him, but you know, let's be clear, this has not been a one-way street, right? Like, there's this notion of one guy is tough on the other guy. I mean, he is. That's known. We know that they don't get along that well. We're not saying no one's ever said they're friends, but like it's not, and this is not to say that you have to like accept being yelled at or whatever it is that happened, but you still have to like you have to come into this and be, I'm going to be a leader. I mean, nobody's leading in this situation right now, right? I'm going to be a leader. I'm going to press on. That's my best guess. Like, it's not, there's it like I said, it's as the tweet said, what if they were I mean, yeah, what if they just got along, right? Like it's I think things have really come to a head here in a way that have not existed before, and I don't know what the path forward here is.
And we can be guilty of overreading what we see on TV sometimes, but they go to start overtime. I forget who the third guy was out there and to start. I think it was Garland. With Miller and Hughes, and they're all conferring in the circle what they're going to do off the draw. One would presume. The last word is Hughes quickly darting over to Miller and saying one more thing, kind of gesturing at him with his glove. And there's like this semblance of like an eye roll, like again, like Miller sort of. It felt like Hughes sort of overruled Miller a little bit on what they were planning on doing. Yeah. And I know we're overreading it, but to me, it's like. Is it just Miller's way or the highway? Like that's the captain saying, "Let's do this," and it wasn't like an understanding. Yep, got it. It was there was some other reaction.
You wonder that because Tocchet has talked about how much input JT has, including even last week when he came back, and you wonder if it is a his way highway.
Well, listen. Like in practice, right? There's a lot of sort of voices and thought. Miller thinks the game a lot. And so, in that standpoint,
thinks it well too.
Yeah, and thinks it really well.
Let's not castigate because Tocchet and others have talked
offensively
about
offensively.
Power play and but that Tocchet has said he appreciates that feedback. That this is a guy whose mind is constantly thinking about these things, and he's willing to bring ideas to the group, which is incredible. That's very constructive.
Yeah, and listen, Pettersson thinks the game too. Like, there's a guy that understands how it all works, right? Like, I don't know if they're not talking, but I certainly don't. Everyone else has commented on this, right? But you walk in that room and it's not a happy place, right? Like, it's certainly for starters, the way they want to do media, is not how it used to be, where there's just kind of everyone's hanging around and everyone's having a good time and whatever. I mean, I don't know what it used to be like, but that's certainly my impression.
It's gate kept.
It's not just gate. It's gate kept from them, like by themselves. Like they're not. There's not a sort of feeling of looseness. I commented on this in the wake of the Bruins. The Bruins had a group hug. They'd given up 13 goals in 2 games, and during the morning skate here in Vancouver last Saturday, at the end, Jeremy Swayman gets everybody in to have a group hug. They had some fun. And and I kind of winked at this a couple weeks ago. I said, listen, are these guys even having fun? Like, I don't know if they're having fun. I get you need to be serious and focused on the task at hand, but you also need to kind of, like, in the end, you need to enjoy it. Yes, it's your job, but you need to enjoy your job. I think we all have fun at our jobs, don't we? This is, and there are guys that bring this up from time to time. A guy like Tyron Mouse will say, we are very fortunate to be here. Right?
Yes.
We are very fortunate to be here, to be paid to do what we do. Right? We need to give our best every night. Right? And when Tocchet talks about, there's guys that are passengers or whatever the term he uses, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever it was the other night. Like, it's stuff like that he is thinking about. And it's that there's are you feeling entitled? Are you actually recognizing what all this means and who you are here to, who are you here for, right? And that, I think, without a doubt, has been a problem. Like, I think there's just like, what are you here for? Are you here because you're getting paid well? Because, listen, I get it. We also have bad days, right? Some days you show up and work sucks. And like that happens. But the
Mm-hmm.
overall ethos needs to be, you need to find it in yourself to enjoy what you are doing. And right now, you just don't get a sense that the Vancouver Canucks, for the most part, are enjoying what they're doing. There's moments where they enjoy it, and they certainly enjoy wins, and we can see the emotions. But like losing sucks. And yeah, it sucks having to talk about today, not getting too low, not getting too high. But you got to find a way forward, and a lot of it is about your mentality and how what your viewpoint is on what you are doing.
Captain Fun is Garland probably, and he's in a bit of a scoring slump, so we haven't even seen him lighting up the room.
He's still
with his
trying
smile.
though, you know?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, part of me too, like here's another one. So I talked to Zadorov after the game on Saturday. You know, then I asked, you know, basically
He brought the fun.
He brought the fun.
vibes.
He did bring the fun. And you know, like we're talking to Swayman, we're talking to Marchand, whatever. I asked PR, I said, "Hey, is Zadorov around?" She goes, "Well, I haven't seen him in the back, but I think he's still out in the hallway. If you want to maybe just chat with him out there." I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Sounds great. That's marvelous." And so I stood there and waited at a respectful distance while him and Connor Garland had like a 10-minute conversation, I guess, about, you know, how things are and whatever. And then I talked to him. We had a great little chat. And I said, you know, I mean, in the end, he's happy where he is and he likes being in Boston, and he got to play a big role on Saturday. And he said that was great. And he's having fun. And you know what? He brought an edge, and he was, you know, he's a challenging personality at times. But he brought, you know, like, think about the vibes last year, right? Like, it's hard to not think that guy maybe made a difference in the room, because you could, you know, in the end, you need a bunch of personalities, a bunch of people sort of offsetting whatever it is, and there's just it feels like there's just nothing offsetting the bad vibes between the two stars right now.
That is a great point. My kingdom for a prankster right now in that Canucks room.
You know, yeah.
And for the record, I sure as heck fire have fun doing my job when we get to talk to you, Peach.
Aw.
Just then.
Did you get a photo of Zadorov and Garland? Because I'm sitting here thinking like Clydesdale and Shetland here. That would have been an unbelievable
I really
visual.
should have. Yeah, that would have been good.
Okay, so we're down to brass tacks now, buddy. I mean, we're 14 minutes into this interview, so it's time. Well, I'm going to ask you the Surrey Mitsubishi poll question. And in fact, I'm going to ask you, if you don't have it in the body of your answer, I'm going to ask you yours from Monday. Can the Canucks overcome the Miller-Pettersson drama and contend for the Cup this spring? I know. It's a little spicy.
What a question.
Yeah,
and you have to wonder if management
that's a spiced rum eggnog holiday poll question.
And you have to wonder if management's thinking this, right? Like, what do we have to do to turn this ship around here?
Yeah, so here's my dilemma. You talk around, like, I think management still believes in this group despite everything, right? Like, they're prepared to make trades to add to this team, right? Like, they think this is it. So now it's a journalism, like, you know, especially like the sort of classic Vancouver media. Like, of course, our reputations were horrible, right? And a lot of it's, you know, I mean, this is the old thing. Are we supposed to just toe the company line, or perhaps poke in, you know, the poke in all the, what's this hole? So I do simply go against, no, this is never going to work because management thinks it's going to work. What am I supposed to do here? No, I don't know. What's the question again?
Can they turn this around and be a cup contender in light of Pettersson and Miller?
Can they overcome it?
Yeah.
Can they overcome it? Yeah, that's right. I'm really thinking about this one. I'm going to have to say...
Well, take your time.
Not win the cup. Just be in the conversation.
Be in the conversation? Oh, wow, that's an out. So, yes, they can overcome and be in conversation.
Why do you give them an exit ramp like that?
Well, that's the question. We didn't say can they win the cup.
Because he had talked around the question for 90 seconds.
There's 32 teams in this league. It's hard to win the cup.
Mike's looking at me like, is he going to answer the question?
You think there's a time where at one point, like, basically to be in that conversation, there has to be a stretch in the season where they are the best team in the league. 10-game stretch.
Yeah.
They can be that group.
Yeah, like that's yeah. Listen, yes, I mean, I think they can. I think they still, like, putting it. That's actually, that is a great way of putting it. That assumes they've added. I think they've added a defenseman anyway. I mean, were they were last year?
We've really like
rendered him
stodged him up here.
Look at this. He is just paralyzed. Cat got your tongue, Peach?
We did last year. I mean, they were last year, right?
Wait till I ask
yeah.
him the next question. Holy
Oh,
jumping.
boy.
Is it inevitable that one of Miller or Pettersson has to be traded?
I mean, is it inevitable? Is it inevitable? I mean, I always thought it was a long bet. Like, this is a bet for a long time. Would both these guys be here forever? I never thought they'd be here forever. To me, these were moves to keep the current group together to see what they could do this year. That they think that they realized last year how close they are, right? They really were that close. So let's go for it. I mean, Miller over Horvat was a choice, right? They're like, this is a guy that's going to drag us forward. And then we'll see if we can live with this. They made the signing thinking they could live with it. Can we live with it next year? Can we live with the year after that? Like, your window in many ways is huge, right? Like, a huge contract is your window. So you've got a couple more years. Is it inevitable they're here forever? No, I don't think all these guys are going to be here forever. I just don't.
There's a macro sort of.
So do the three of them last the Hughes contract? Is another splice to the question.
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't know. I don't think so. I think we're going to see how this goes this year. And listen, because if it doesn't work this year, you do have to reassess, right? You have to think about Besser. You have to think about Demko. Like the decisions coming forward are going to be fast and furious. They're forced on them. They don't have a choice, right? And if it's not working, you need to keep thinking about that.
Not to mention a no trade that kicks in July 1st.
It's an answer, exactly, and it's an answer about circumstance as much as anything, right? Like, where have you been? What are you doing? What's your process look like, right? And right now the process looks terrible. So if it's not working, I wouldn't put anything. They certainly are not actively looking to shop is Pettersson right now. I don't know. I mean, I don't like, for instance, Friedman floats his idea the other day, which was not a thing. But I found myself wondering, did Buffalo call up and say maybe you do something like this? And did the Canucks counter and say, well, what about this guy? What about something else? I don't know. I don't think there was an active, we would like to move this guy, but they're certainly not hanging up the phone. But you never hang up the phone. Jim Rutherford knows better than that.
No.
Let me ask you one question that has no smoke other than just fans in the chat that I see.
Yeah.
Is Miller or is Tocchet's job in trouble?
No.
I don't think so. I mean, he needs a contract, but I don't think so. He's their guy. Like, they believe it. I mean, it's not like they're still way more than they've lost, right? Like, they blew it the other night, but they beat the Coloradans. They beat the Florida Panthers. They were absolute duds against the Boston Bruins. Like, which team are they? I don't know, but they've been winning enough, right? Like, what was the J-Pat with all the numbers, but the consistency of the season despite the blow-ups. And they're in these games. They're not playing great. Like, let's be clear. They've not been unlucky. They've made a lot of their own luck, but they're still in it. I mean, it helps. The division's been a bit of a turtle derby, and there's teams behind them that are now. I think the Kraken are going to fall away, and I think the Flames are going to fall away, and that will help the Canucks immensely.
The Rangers were 12-7 when Drury's memo got leaked.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a recognition too of, like, there's a band of teams. There's a bunch of teams that are not going to make it, right? There's a handful of teams that are clearly favorites, and then there's this band of teams that are like kind of in the second tier that want to go up. Canucks are in that mix, right? So now it's about what happens over the next 2 months. I mean, I think the Canucks are going to go for something. They're going to try to make something happen. They clearly, like, that is the MO, right? Like, we know, like, the Jim Rutherford history is, like, not an accident. Right, you get ahead of the trade market. They did this last year. Patrick Alvin reads from the songbook. Right, he's going to do the same thing. They're going to do something in the next 6 weeks. It's history tells you this. It's not.
Was that
rocket
song
science.
SONG or PSALM? One of the things that we've. 'Tis the season.
Yeah, there you go.
Are you not going caroling this weekend? I'm certainly going to check out some carols.
Oh, wow.
Is that what you call? Is that what you call it?
We're thinking of driving to New West for carols on Saturday in the pouring
All
rain.
the best voices are in New West. Yeah.
Well, Queen City. One of the things we've talked around here, and it is, I will preface by saying it is probably an unfair question, and yet I sat here for years and looked at feedback from fans wondering what kind of leader is Bo Horvat if he can't get them to play with more defensive detail. This is quite a leadership test for young Captain Q, this Miller Pettersson thing, huh? Because as we discussed yesterday with Corral,
yeah,
he is Rudolph. He is leading the sleigh. So he's got to get Donner and Blitzen in line here. No?
What an image.
Is that even a
right?
Is Donner even, did I get that right? Who are the reindeer? Okay.
Wait, hold on. Isn't Donner Rudolph's dad in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? I think he is.
Oh, it could be.
I don't think so. That's false. Why are you spreading rumors like that?
I think so.
Donner's his dad? That is not
So there
written
is a
anywhere.
Donner and there is a Blitzen.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Someone look this up. Anyway,
Salacious rumors.
Is Donner Rudolph's dad?
look it up. But I'll
Oh, no,
tell
like
you.
North Paul Jerry Springer.
Oh my God!
He's the father.
Blake, it comes up very quickly in the Google search. Rudolph is born to Donner the reindeer and Donner's wife.
Yeah, guys, you need to go back and watch it.
Yeah.
Like first,
Yeah.
listen,
Yeah.
Matt,
Girl
you don't have
lives,
kids, so
baby.
you don't have to deal with this.
No, I have
Blake,
seen
it's been a
the
long
Burl Lives.
time, but it's back in the rotation. We went and paid for it. We got it on Apple. We have it, so we can watch it.
Do you know that pretty much every voice in that in the show is Canadian?
Yes, because
And
they
the
made it.
reason
it was in Toronto. Yeah.
The reason being is because when that was made, when was it made? 1950 something. Okay.
64 or 63, something like that.
Canada still had radio dramas on the CBC.
Yeah.
And America no longer had
Right.
radio performance.
Yeah.
And so they went to Canada thinking we need those voices.
And brought Burl Ives along.
And Sansa and then Burl, yeah.
Okay, we interrupted a thought from somebody. Who had a thought on something?
We had a thought on Hughes's candidacy
right.
before we got
Is he
on to
Rudolph?
reindeer.
It's not a bad analogy. I've actually thought a lot about this. There was a clip that I found. I was trying to find the Besser, like the TikTok video that his girlfriend posted of him raiding the cracker. Anyway,
Yes.
I did a search
Tastes
on
like-
one of the social media sites saying Besser cracker or something like that. And it returned a video, a video report I'd completely forgotten about it was a Jan Hour thing about what are the nicknames in the room, and someone had said that Besser's nickname was Mr. Sensitive. And so they got Brock on. And this is how it used to be. Everybody's in the room. They're just mingling about. Brock. This is when Besser's stall is like near the back, like sort of where they go into the shower area and all this stuff. He used to be by the door where we'd walk in, so he had to walk all the way across the room, so you could always intercept him. And Jan and Brock it's classic TV stuff, right? Like all reaction, right?
Yeah.
Right? And just who said that? Stetch? And then it's just he's outraged. It's just this unbelievable banter. They go to young Quinn. Quinn's sitting there. Oh,
Baby Quinn.
Baby Quinn just laughing his head off. Oh, I shouldn't say anything. Blah 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 blah. And I'm going, I miss that guy. And I get it.
Yeah.
He's the captain. He's got to be a bit more serious. He's talked about
Heavy
it,
is
all
the
this
crown.
stuff.
Yeah.
Heavy is the crown. Absolutely. But man, is that crown heavy right now? Like it's just there's just so much in there. If they were winning, none of this would be a problem. Is kind of the sort of, so it's a bit of a chicken and the egg. Do you have fun before you win, or do you win because you have fun, right? Like, or do you have fun because you win, or vice versa? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Chicken and egg.
So chicken and the egg. So where are they? And I think bottom line is they need to loosen up. They need to focus in on what they're doing, which is playing hard, listen to their coach, skate hard, go after the guy. And get at it, because they can do it. Like, they can do these things. None of this it's not that complicated.
Heavy is the crown. It is Game of Thrones playing out before
Yeah, it kind of is.
our eyes. Before our eyes here. Okay, get back to Rudolph.
What is
and,
the red wedding going to be? Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Look at you. He has no idea what you're talking about.
By the way,
I barely
No, I
do,
don't.
but-
You know what? Oh, I started watching the sequel. What's What's the show called?
House of Dragon.
Yeah, a little bit. Yes, can you please turn that off? It's highly annoying.
Hair dryer left on. Why do you have a hair dryer?
Last best hockey nickname ever, former Canucks draft pick Brad Ferentz down in Florida. He's walking through the room. Hey, Bitsy. I go, Bitsy. Why do y'all call him Bitsy? Because he's always bitter.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
You're in for Blake on Monday. We'll talk then.
I am not bitter. I will not be bitter. I'll be
No, don't be bitter. Don't be bitter. We
Brad
need
Ferentz,
bright-eyed Bitsy.
God,
Always
Brad
bitter.
Burke was so high on him.
Just look at his face. He looked bitter.
Or who was he? What year was he? 98? Does anybody remember? It's so long ago.
Brad Ferentz, the 10th overall pick in 97.
97. Oh, he's a Pat
97.
Quinn guy. Okay. Okay. All right.
See ya.
Happy holidays.
See you guys.
If you are struggling with things like managing stress, anxiety, relationships, or divorce, reach out to the counselors at Advanced Counseling. Book your free initial consultation today at advancedcounseling.ca.
Sekeres Price from the historic Wall Center. Rob Williams is the national sports editor of the Daily Hive and its Offside Sports vertical. Rob, the hockey guy on Twitter, he joins us Thursdays. How are you? Merry Christmas, Rob.
Merry Christmas, guys. Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah,
Fabulous.
Quite good.
Better than the Canucks last night.
Yeah.
Damn sure.
Yeah. Rob, is the market turning on JT Miller?
Like, depends on the day, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if he stays on that extended shift in overtime and delivers that pass to Garland and he buries it, then that's just JT digging down deep, doing what he's got to do to pull out the win. So it's all perspective, right? Like, winning solves a lot. The puck going in solves a lot. But when you're struggling and there's all this noise around the team and people are seemingly picking sides in the PD Miller fiasco or whatever the heck is going on there, everything's heightened. So there's definitely more heat on Miller these days.
Can you believe that they, never mind strategy or like, just they know the optics, the power play switcheroo with either of them do-side-doing and being apart from each other on the two power. Like, it's almost amazing they didn't do the calculus on what that looks like. Maybe they did, and they still thought the benefit was there on the ice. But I mean, I'm honestly jaw on the floor here over the last couple of games.
Yeah, that makes me think. I mean, especially switching it up, having Miller on PP1 on Monday and then Pettersson on PP1 on Wednesday. Like, that makes you think, okay, it's not like they think that this is just the best group of five that they have, because it made a little more sense on Monday, because it was like, okay, they're reverting back to the power play unit that was clicking while Miller was out.
Right.
That made some sense. But then to now switch it and go, no, okay, now Miller's there and Pettersson's going to sit on the bench. Do you need Connor Garland on the first unit power play that badly? Like, do you need Jake DeBrusk on there that badly? Is that what it is? How is taking off one of your two most talented players the move? So that just, it fuels the fire of, and look, I don't know what's going on between Miller and Pettersson. I just, we hear the rumblings from insiders about what's going on between these two guys. It was interesting that they were bringing up that relationship while JT was out. It just gets everyone talking about this. But like, then what is it? Like, it's just so, it just fuels the fire, because you wonder, like, okay, is it just so bad that they can't even be on the ice together? Like are they not, is it that bad? Like, it just seems so bizarre. They played on the power play together for, like, since Miller got here 5 years ago. Like, what is it? Like, and I just think ultimately, like, they have to make it work with those two guys on the first power play.
Yeah. I mean, as I said in the opening, like, if they can't even play on the same sheet of ice, that's wholly unprofessional. And now
That was the
You're
caveat.
affecting the money and the careers of all the other players on the bench, the coaching staff, the managers, what have you. Let's ask you the Surrey Mitsubishi poll question, though. Let's go big picture with Rob Williams. Can they overcome this drama and contend for a cup?
I think so. There's been, famously teams that have won where not everyone got along great. I think winning solves a lot. I think that when you have a situation like this and there's a bit of turmoil and the team's not playing as up to their standards, these things get heightened more, right? Whereas if you do start to pick it up, if you start winning, all of this goes to the background, right? If you have a problem with the guy sitting next to you in the dressing room and you're losing, now it's a problem, right? If you've got a problem with them and you're winning, yeah, you can kind of, I think both guys can probably ignore the things that they're not thrilled about, and there's probably fewer things that float to the surface that bother them when they're winning. So if they can, I think winning will solve a lot. So if they can turn it around, and I don't see why they couldn't turn around in season. I don't see why they couldn't get on a roll and contend. I mean, can they contend? I don't think it'll be the Miller Pettersson fiasco that is the reason why they can't contend. I think it'll be because they don't have enough depth on defense and a few other things.
I want to loop back to the opening question about Miller and fans. At the very least, we're already seeing this in responses, and you're a fan base expert. Is the fan base going to decamp here a little bit and turn against each other? We have seen some spicy chats both on the live show and just in response to tweets, etc. I can't remember. I mean, we'd have to go back 20 years maybe to see a split like this within the Vancouver Canucks fan base.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's one of those things. Like if you're left to decide one or the other, now that opens it up for debate, right? Pettersson has been the guy under the microscope for the most part. This feels like, the last few games of Miller, look, he's going to take some time to get back up to speed, right? And I think JT Miller is an excellent hockey player. But, I mean, the play in overtime where he extends the shift, he's trying to do too much. I really looked at that shift. It's a long shift. He's standing still for large parts of it. Like he's standing in front of the net, trying going for the screen. He's not, it wasn't like he was burning up and down the ice. I would have liked to see him back check more on that. Like that, I would have thought there was more gas left in the tank to get back. So is that because of the long layoff that he's not quite in tip-top game shape? Is it a mental thing that he just didn't have it in him to bust his ass back to break up the 2-on-1? I don't know, but that kind of a play reminds me of JT Miller from 2 years ago, where it seemed like he was trying to be the hero on too many plays, giving up breakaways going the other way, and that sort of thing. And that was kind of what, I thought Tocchet coached that out of him last season. And now it seems to be creeping back a little bit. Of course, he was benched before his leave of absence for a reason. So, yeah, I mean, they've got to figure that out with Miller because he was phenomenal last year, and it seemed like he had left that out of his game.
Well, you got to hang on to pucks and play predictably. It's one of our staples. It's a non-negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
We're with fan base expert Rob Williams here. By the way, you are a fan base expert.
He is.
It's a
superpower.
I've never heard you put it so succinctly, but that's
Fan base
effectively we go to Rob to get the pulse, of the people. So well done, Rob. Way to carve out your niche.
We all need niches.
Yeah, absolutely.
That and seats, guys.
Seats.
Right.
Well,
yeah, of course.
Anything stadium right now. Come on.
By the way, hey, Four Nations face-off around the corner. Will we see more black seats in the arena?
They got a little window there. Well done.
But remember, they told us they were going to start doing it this season. So
right. I can only imagine the whiteboard in Rob's office. Like,
what sections are black?
Check on seats.
He's got all
Note to self.
all the black
Do you
seats
have a
marked
calendar event for black seats somewhere in February?
Guys, I've been sending Noah to the rink every single day to check on the seat update. Poor guy.
Or Noah, go count the black seats, son. You were there for the brief Tocchet post-game press conference Monday, and he wasn't very verbose yesterday either. What do you think's up there, Rob?
I mean, yesterday there were almost no local media there, so hard to read too much into it yesterday.
He got 7 questions though in a minute 25.
Yeah.
And 7 questions sometimes for talk. That's 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is a dissertation. That is a university lecture.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, Tocchet has been so great, as a media member, just like so honest. I think fans really appreciate it. And kind of has a way. I've always sort of felt he's had a way of like guiding the narrative within the city. Like, he talks. If he starts talking about Höglander and his back checking, now all of a sudden Höglander's back checking is the focus, and I think a lot of the discussion takes cues from Tocchet. So I think he has a lot of power to do that for good. And I guess subsequently, the rub on that is if he maybe misspeaks, maybe we take that and run with that as well. So I thought it was really interesting on Monday. It was just bizarre because it was a great win. Kiefer Sherwood with the natural hat trick. I was up in the press box and I was ready to just this is the Kiefer Sherwood show. Let's glow about Sherwood. Demko was excellent. It's going to be a feel-good night at Rogers Arena. There's been too many nights where we're asking the same boring questions about why can't you win at home. And I thought it was going to be different. And, for the most part, it was with, when speaking to the players. And then Tocchet comes out and just delivers a very bizarre press conference where he begins by just name-checking, like, more than half the team and just sort of saying, that's my summary, and I'm only going to take a couple questions. Like I'm just going to take a couple questions, and that's it. And 3 media members asked questions. One was in-house media, and that was it. And it was like he was gone. And I was thinking, well, what is going on here? Because I left that press conference. I entered the room being all about Kiefer Sherwood narratives and how can you not love the way he plays and what a big night for him. I left the room obsessed with the press conference that Tocchet had just delivered and just going and everyone's just sort of talking, going, what was it? Like, did he have the flu? He was wearing a sweater. He doesn't normally wear a sweater on a game night.
It was cold apparently, right? Extra cold that day, or maybe that was it too.
Well,
I mean, I've been saying when he doesn't speak, though, other stories fill the void, and they, as you said, what he says controls the narrative often. If he's not speaking, the void gets filled. Like they
should
off.
Want him speaking.
Right.
He Rob's 1,000,000% right. Yeah. Mayor of Wrightville, right, Rob, with regards to Tocchet controlling the narratives in the city because he speaks with such command and authority. Right? Like even above and beyond what a typical coach speaks with. Because he's got charisma. He's got flair. He's got command of all of it. So, yeah, you're 100% right. And he has been extraordinary. Not just as a media member, Rob. He's been extraordinary if you want to learn about the game of hockey. You have been richer for that in this market for the last 2 years.
Absolutely. And it begs the question, so why did he cut it short? Because it was clearly a strategy going into the press conference. It was the first question from Brendan Batchelor. It wasn't like it was like a gotcha question or anything like that. Like it wasn't like something upset him in the press conference and that's how he reacted. This was just the strategy going in. And
we think upper management got to him and said, Saturday, Sunday, you took a couple of runs at the players. We're trying to trade some of these guys. and you're fueling the fire on the Pettersson-Miller thing. Does
That's
that strike you as a
yeah.
reasonable muzzle?
That's where my mind went as well. I rewatched the presser he gave after the Boston game on Saturday, and that was just classic Tocchet. Like he was, as he has been for 2 years in Vancouver, and it's a 180 shift, and to do a 180 shift after a win when the good vibes are there, that was the really bizarre thing. I mean, you think he would just kind of go as normal and just sort of have a strategy when it comes to any talk about Pettersson or Miller. Like that's what I would have expected. Just like anytime he's asked about Pettersson or Miller, keep it pretty short, keep it pretty positive and vague. And, you would think that would be the way to diffuse any talk about those guys. And when he was asked about having Miller on the second power play unit, and he just sort of said, he just basically said that was the plan and the guys knew about it and that's it. And it's like, okay, I mean, when you give an answer like that, there's not much we can do with that. You think that would be the way to diffuse the situation, not have like 5 questions and then we're going home. Cause that just seems like, okay, so why? And if you're not going to get an explanation on why, then we fill in the gaps and we speculate. That's reality of the situation when you're in the National Hockey League.
What are the chances of a bounce back versus Vegas based on what we saw there?
See, I've seen the Canucks play 2 games in Vegas since they've entered the league, and they got shellacked both times. So that's like immediately where my mind goes. Like it's going to be tough times in Vegas. They never seem to play well there. Second half of a back-to-back, I think it could be a long night for them.
Well, except for they tend to follow poor games with good games.
Well, they've certainly been doing that. This is a different ass, though.
Tampa, St. Louis notwithstanding, but Tocchet mentioned this Monday that you have a stinker and you have the resilience to come back and play one of your better games of the season. So, it wouldn't make a lot of sense against a better team on the second of back-to-back, but what in this season has made sense, Rob Williams? Can you begin to explain this season and its nonsensicalness, tip to tail? Rob, awesome stuff, buddy. We do not have a show next Thursday, so we wish you and Chelsea and the entire Williams family, Daily Hive family, a very Merry Christmas, and we'll catch up in a couple weeks here.
Sounds great, guys. Hope you have a happy holidays.
If you are struggling with things like managing stress, anxiety, relationships, or divorce, reach out to the counselors at Advanced Counseling. Book your free initial consultation today at advancedcounseling.ca.
Harrison Price from the historic Wall Center, and here's the thing. You're heading to a game in downtown Vancouver.
Mm-hmm. We figured that's what you meant.
We have listeners
all
over the province, all over the world, worldwide. You make a staycation out of it. You book your stay here at the Wall Center. You call them, 604-331-1000. You say, I know those 2 idiots, Harrison Price. Mm-hmm. I understand they have an exclusive rate. Is that available to me? And hopefully the Wall Center says, yes, some blackout dates apply. Not going to lie. But it's often available to you. So you should do it right here at the Wall. Very festive. They have a real tree upstairs. It's shedding. It's beautifully decorated.
Very pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you text this show to feedback to the 2 idiots at 778-402-9680. Email live at scarsonprice.com. All of it to the Great Clips inbox. We're going to have a To the People We Go mailbag segment tomorrow. Great Clips.
It's going to be great, and I mean that enthusiastically because there's some tops of con to be discussed by you, the hockey fan. I don't think we'll be sifting through just a few pieces of feedback.
Big week on feedback.
Yeah.
Big week for feedback. Mm. Lots of news from the Lions Den. Where? BC is making a big bets on Mathieu. See what I did there?
I see, yeah.
Pass rusher Mathieu Betts back from the Detroit Lions of the NFL at midseason, and he has signed a deal that is going to make him the highest paid defensive player in the CFL, according to Farhan Lalji. 2-year deal, $260 this year, $270 next year. And
did he suffer from Rourke-itis last
a
year?
A little bit.
You know,
but he still had some moments. He still had some moments.
Yeah.
Now he's 30, and it's a hyper athletic position. Although Betts has done it with a good bit of guile and technique, so that's good too. You're kind of paying him for the defensive player of the year he was the previous year.
That's right.
But here's the thing. The pass rushers BC used in his place had flashes. Some of them are good players. Sione Tuiema has got the suspension. Mm-hmm. But they just didn't bring the consistency of threat off the edge like Betts did the previous year.
I hope
Plus
they've
he's
had
a Canadian, so it's a ratio thing as well.
Ratio thing. I hope they've had a good long talk, both sides, where they're just like, okay, but we need you to be that guy. Whatever you need to do in the off season, we need you to have a good training camp. We need you to hit the ground running.
Oh, for sure. And he is one of 2 big free agents for the Lions. The other being slot back Justin McInnes. Would really like to see McInnes done here soon as well, as Ryan Rigmaiden digs in as the new general manager and chief football decision maker. And more from Lalji. Mike Benavides. Back in the defensive coordinator's post, he held that role from 2008 to 2011 before taking over as the head coach of the BC Lions. He had previously served as special teams coordinator for the last couple of seasons. Farhan also saying that it would not be a surprise to see former now defensive coordinator Ryan Phillips retained on the staff. You would have to think DB's coach there. Of course, Ryan was a tremendous defensive back.
We are big fans of RP.
We were big fans of both gentlemen.
But he didn't serve a super long apprenticeship.
No.
So you do wonder, having a veteran DC, does that help float everybody?
2 years ago, that defense was awesome, though, Ryan.
Yeah,
did great work.
True.
So, anyways, hey, keep smart, good people in the fold. Mm-hmm. And they're doing that with Benavides, and I sure hope they do so with RP as well. How dysfunctional are the New York Jets? Former general manager Joe Douglas saying he felt like he answered to a teenager. This because Jets owner Woody Johnson and Donald Trump ambassadorial pick here, Woody Johnson, of the Johnson & Johnson family. They make the
Which
baby.
one? Which of the?
Well, I don't know which one he is, but
Johnson with the J or Johnson with the J?
They made the baby powder. They had to recall it. Anyways, he has teenage sons, Brick and Jack.
I hope Brick's really
I know
smart.
rich people can get away with certain things, but don't name your children Brick.
I hope he's really
Can
smart.
we all agree with that?
That sets up a kid
Honestly,
for a lot
Brick.
of presumptions.
Apparently, Brick and Jack were brought. I can't even say it. Brick and Jack were brought into meetings this year at the owner's behest. Of course, the owner got very involved this year. He fired his GM. He fired his head coach. He wondered about benching Aaron Rodgers early in the season when they still had playoff hope. So between Brick, Jack, and Woody, they apparently did not pursue wide receiver Jerry Jeudy in the offseason, ex of the Broncos, now of the Browns, because of a low rating in Madden, the video game.
Yeah.
It's in the game.
Just so people know, Madden ratings come from, I know in hockey it was one guy for a long time. Shane Malloy was the one guy in for a long time that did it for EA Hockey. Just coming up with it. Like, there's no algorithm that takes your stats, crunches it through a computer. Like, it's just a guy that goes 87.
And actually, there's a new documentary on Madden, the video game. And it's like 5 parts, too.
Yeah.
It's long. I started watching it, and the hellfire that was raised when they started rating players on all sorts of categories. That doesn't show my breakaway speed.
Yeah.
They actually now, Blake, have 2 guys who go around to NFL camps to basically take the bullets from players. They thought they were onto something genius, and quite frankly, it made the game better. What they didn't realize is how much squawking there would be from the players writ large. So they now have 2 designated shit takers who go around to NFL camps and are just there after practice, lest any player want a conference on their rating.
I don't know what it looks like anymore because I haven't played the games in a long time. But back in the early incarnations of these ratings, they had like a temperature gauge, like a bar, graph, if you will, for where they should have just kept it as that, not had the number attached. They would reduce the squawking if it was an ambiguous. The graph is this long, is it 4 inches long, and your guy's 3 inches high, and the other guy's just a little. It would be ambiguous as to who was that much better.
That's fair.
Like, why wouldn't you do that? That way you're not squibbling. He's an 89, I'm an 87. No way.
Exactly.
You wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the 89 and the 87.
Because that's what you do have players doing now. They're like, hold on a second, bro. I ran a 10 flat in 100 meters in high school, and you're going to give me 87 speed?
That DB, I burn him on coverage all the time.
I beat this guy in the high school track 100-meter state final, and you're going to have me at an 87? He's 91?
Yeah.
Anyways,
problems.
No, but just think of this for a second. The New York Jets, a multi-billion-dollar business. Johnson & Johnson, an even bigger business.
Quadrillion-dollar business.
Exactly.
Yes.
Everyone in this conversation has something Johnson & Johnson in their bathroom. And we are combing Madden
for
and
consultation.
making decisions based on the information on EA Sports Madden.
They told us it was in the game.
Honestly.
It clearly is.
Honestly. You just sit there and wonder. These NFL staffs now with like 24 assistant coaches, how do you continue to fuck up the 2-minute drill? Why are you continuously screwing up things like 4th down, when to gamble, when not, 2-minute drill, prevent defense, when you have all of these people there?
I would say it's because they're so overanalyzed and every decision is overthought because they all feel like they all have got it. But the Dallas Cowboys have had winning seasons, and there is no more scrutinized coaching staff or player group than the Dallas Cowboys. And they can execute, not this year, but there have been seasons where they execute just fine with Jerry looking over them. So it can be done.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. Jerry, in his more recent years, and he's a little cranky now, has started to take offense with people
saying that he's overhandling
because he's got the title GM, of course.
Yes, right.
You don't use the word meddling with Jerry.
No, he is,
because he will tell you
it's his position.
When you work as hard as I've worked to make all these billions in the oil business and then buy a football team, it is a responsibility. It is a right. It's not meddling. Anyways, best of luck to Woody, Brick.
Yeah, best of luck.
And Jack. Surrey Mitsubishi poll question results from Wednesday asked you, would you trade one of the top prospects, Lekramaki or Wielander, for Sabres defenseman Bowen Byram? What did the people say?
People said no.
They did. Percentage?
57.
79.
Whoa!
I was really surprised at how down respondents were on former Vancouver Giant, the pride of Cranbrook, Bowen Byram. But you did it again, folks. The comments are filled with really smart analysis. You sift through them and you go, yeah, that's a hockey market. That is absolutely a hockey market with smart fans. Mike K., Lekramaki, wingers are the easiest to find. Right-handed defensemen, probably the toughest. Very fair. Vet, both are real close to playing right now. That's more hope. Vet, we've talked about with Cam Robinson. Lekramaki could influence this season because he's that natural goal
But he said he's close. He doesn't even have to be this year.
Wielander, no, fair enough. Wielander may get in some games at the end of the year after BU season's done, but I don't think either of them are really going to put an imprint on this season. But next year, yeah, okay. Chayton, given this team only has 3 top-tier assets to use, I'd be worried to use it on Byram given his play and concussion history. Also, the Canucks haven't shown enough to warrant trading those 3 assets to mortgage more of the future with no other high ceiling prospects in the system. So, no. And you can make that case, Shaden. As PJ told us earlier in the show, they are going to add to this group. Don't for a second think that Alvin and Rutherford are not going to try and bolster this current lineup. Piercy, highly skeptical to trade a top prospect in an already thin system. However, management is looking to win now, so it's very realistic that they would part with future assets for a player who has a cup already and is only 23 years old. It's a cautious yes for me. That's true. He does have a cup. And then Vanley Good takes, would trade Lekramaki as long as we're signing Besser. Keep Wielander and then look to sign or trade for a proven NHL score. Errors and omissions, and shockingly, I do not have a note on the E's and O's file from yesterday. Anything to self-report?
I have got nothing on E's and O's. No.
Hearing nothing, thank you for joining us, everybody. Appreciate you spending some time connecting with us. Please do subscribe to all our assorted channels, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Follow on social. That's X, Insta, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky. We are live on many of those platforms. Noon Pacific time weekdays, and of course support the community sponsors you hear us talking about. Keep it local.